You were the easy child, the independent one, the mature one, the one who never asked for too much and never caused problems, and people probably praised you for it. But emotionally neglected children often grow into adults carrying survival patterns that look so normal they mistake them for personality traits. And the frightening part is that many people who experienced childhood emotional neglect still do not realize it happened to them. Because emotional neglect is not always about abuse. Sometimes it is about emotional absence, about growing up in environments where your feelings stopped feeling welcome and your needs felt too heavy for the room. So you adapted, and those adaptations followed you into adulthood in ways you may not fully recognize now. Here are 9 signs childhood emotional neglect may still be shaping your life today. Stay with me until the end, because the last one explains a pattern many people never realize is connected to emotional neglect at all. The first sign is that you feel guilty for resting. You finally sit down after a long day, and instead of relaxing, your brain immediately starts searching for the next task. You check your phone, clean something unnecessarily, or open emails you don't even need to answer, because stillness itself feels uncomfortable. Psychologists call this conditional worth, the belief that your value depends on usefulness or productivity. Many emotionally neglected children learned early that attention arrived more consistently when they achieved, helped, or stayed easy to manage. So resting no longer feels peaceful. It feels undeserved, like if you stop performing, you might emotionally disappear. The second sign is that you mentally rehearse conversations before they happen. Before difficult conversations, and sometimes even casual ones, you've already played out different versions inside your head and prepared responses to reactions that haven't even happened yet. From the outside, it looks like overthinking, but emotionally neglected children often become adults with hypervigilant nervous systems. When emotional environments felt unpredictable growing up, your brain adapted by constantly trying to stay emotionally prepared. You learned to scan tone shifts, facial expressions, and silences. Your nervous system started treating emotional unpredictability like danger. And even now, part of you still believes safety depends on saying everything perfectly. The third sign is that you feel guilty for things that are not your fault. You apologize for asking questions, for expressing emotions, for taking up space, and sometimes before you even finish explaining what you feel. This is connected to what therapists call the fawn response, a survival mechanism where people unconsciously minimize themselves to avoid rejection or emotional withdrawal. Because children who grow up feeling emotionally unwanted learned something dangerous early. If they become smaller, maybe they'll stay loved. The apology is rarely politeness. It's fear, disguised as good manners. The fourth sign is that receiving kindness makes you uncomfortable. Someone compliments you and you immediately deflect. Someone offers help and your instinct is to refuse. Someone genuinely shows up for you and instead of relaxing, your body quietly tightens. Because care that arrives freely feels unfamiliar to nervous systems raised around emotional inconsistency. Psychologist John Bowlby's attachment research showed that children who experience inconsistent emotional support often grow into adults who struggle to trust care, not because they don't want love, but because their nervous system learned that warmth can disappear without warning. You became very good at giving. Receiving became the unsafe part. The fifth sign is that you feel responsible for other people's emotions. Someone becomes quiet and your brain immediately replays everything you said. A friend seems distant and your first instinct is not concern for them, it's guilt. Emotionally neglected children often become emotional caretakers without realizing it. When adults around them failed to regulate emotions consistently, they adapted by monitoring the atmosphere instead. You became the emotional smoke detector in every room, always scanning, always adjusting, always preventing tension before it arrived. And eventually, other people's emotions stopped feeling separate from your own safety. The sixth sign is that you compulsively lie about small things. Not major lies, but unnecessary ones.
saying you already ate, saying you're busy when you simply need space, or saying you're okay automatically even when you're exhausted. Because honesty didn't always feel safe growing up. Telling the truth about your emotions may have led to dismissal, criticism, or distance, so hiding became instinctive. The lie is not manipulation, it's emotional camouflage, a younger version of you trying to avoid rejection before it happens. The seventh sign is that making decisions feels strangely overwhelming. Even small choices feel emotionally loaded, like what to eat, what to wear, or whether to stay in a relationship. Because emotionally neglected children often grow into adults disconnected from their own internal signals. You spent so long adapting to everyone else's needs that your own preferences became harder to hear. You learned to ask what keeps everyone comfortable instead of what actually feels right for you. And after enough years of abandoning your instincts, even simple decisions feel unsafe. The eighth sign is that you isolate yourself even when you feel lonely. You ignore texts for days, cancel plans, and spend hours alone recovering from interactions that looked completely normal to everyone else. Because socializing doesn't just feel social to an emotionally neglected nervous system, it feels performative. Monitoring reactions, managing energy, trying not to feel exposed. So solitude begins feeling safer than connection. But isolation creates its own pain, because part of you still deeply wants closeness. You're just exhausted what closeness used to cost you. The ninth sign, and the one most people never connect to emotional neglect, is that you seek emotionally unavailable people. You become attached to people who are distant, inconsistent, and difficult to reach. People who make affection feel uncertain. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because your nervous system confuses familiarity with love. If emotional distance felt normal growing up, then availability can actually feel uncomfortable. Stability feels suspicious. Healthy love feels unsafe. So, without realizing it, many emotionally neglected adults recreate the emotional environments their nervous systems already understand. None of these patterns appeared randomly. Your nervous system adapted intelligently to environments that required survival before they allowed safety. The habits protecting you now may be the same ones quietly exhausting you. But survival patterns aren't permanent identities. Healing begins smaller than people expect. Sometimes it starts with pausing before an unnecessary apology. Sometimes it begins with asking what you actually feel before prioritizing everyone else. Sometimes healing looks less like becoming a different person and more like slowly teaching your nervous system that safety no longer has to be earned. Resting without guilt, letting safe people help you, answering honestly when someone asks how you are, and allowing yourself to exist without constantly proving your worth. Because emotionally neglected people don't need more pressure. Sometimes they just need permission to stop surviving around people who are no longer there. So, if more than one of these signs felt familiar, let me know which one affected you most in the comments. Sometimes putting language to these patterns is where healing actually begins. And if this resonated with you, there's still more to uncover about how your mind works. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more on psychology, human behavior, and the hidden patterns behind the way we think and feel.